Social Media Breakfast is brought to you by the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, by Auto Media Group, by Region 9 Development Commission, and starting today, the Small Business Development Center. Thank you so much for joining us, SBDC. And I'll turn it over to Julie. She's going to introduce our speaker.
Okay. Good morning. I know a lot of you. I'm Julie Nelson with the Small Business Development Center, and I want to formally introduce our presenter, who I'm excited to have back here. This is your second time here, I believe. Okay. So Hannah is a marketing and social media expert. She has been an entrepreneur herself a few times, several times.
Counting.
She's also an SBDC consultant, works on our team in the area of digital marketing, marketing strategies, and she's, with her entrepreneurial experience, has done a lot of work helping people who are startups who are just getting going. So we're thrilled to have her on our team. Also, she has her own digital marketing business, HB Digital Marketing. And if you haven't seen her like in any publications lately, she is also a talented jazz vocalist. So when you see her around the region, go check her out. She's awesome. So with that, I will hand it over to Hannah.
Thanks,
If
Julie.
I missed anything, feel free.
Yeah, actually, my undergraduate degree is in jazz studies, which is why I'm in marketing now. So thank you all so much for your patience with me. My 5-year-old daughter had an existential crisis over which unicorn pants to wear. So those of you with small children know that you do things on their time, not on your time. So yes, my name's Hannah. I'm a marketing consultant. I have a whole bunch of experience doing a lot of different things online. I founded my first e-commerce company in 2012, and I later sold that to a gentleman in Seattle. I worked for Fun.com up on the hill and learned all kinds of search engine optimization strategies and best practices for selling products online, as well as I've helped hundreds of Small Business Development Center clients. So my favorite thing about being a consultant with the SBDC is that every client that I work with teaches me something new. So anytime a client has a problem or an issue or a challenge, I get to figure out the best way to help solve that. And I think that in and of itself is way more valuable to me than a college degree in marketing, which I don't have. Okay, so today's topic, boomers versus millennials. Who's excited?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, I almost sent around a form that everybody was going to have to sign that we will not make any Millennial Snowflake jokes and no one will say okay boomer during the course of this presentation. But then I thought, well, I think we'll just be all in the honor system. So let's everybody have an open mind and treat each other with respect. And let's remember that we all come from a very different experiential background, and that those experiences shape how we like to be communicated to and the best practices for marketing to us. So, I kind of want to get an idea for who we have in the room. So, please raise your hand if you identify as a boomer. 1, 2, Nate, you don't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What is the dates for boomer?
So it varies. Everybody has a different idea. Baby boomer would generally be between 1944 and 1964-ish. Okay, so we're scooting towards 10. Raise your hand if you identify as a Gen X. All right. I think you guys have the majority today, which is good because we need more representation of Gen X in the world. Okay, so millennials. Who identifies as a millennial? All right. You're my people. And then Gen Z. Do we have any Gen Zers? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So as I was doing the research for this presentation, I realized that I have officially become old and I know very little about Gen Z. So I hope that you will continue to educate me as I continue on this journey of learning about the generations. Okay, so I only like to use credible sources, like the Urban Dictionary. So a boomer, according to the Urban Dictionary, is a person from the baby boomer generation, or really anyone who is older than the person using the word. It's usually used if that person is being annoying or talking stuff about a younger generation, sometimes used in a joking way among friends. So, Urban Dictionary defines Generation X. This is super serious because I think everybody thinks Gen X is super serious. The generation born right around the end of the 1960s baby boomer cultural takeover, basically anyone born after 1965. Dylan going electric. Who remembers that? Anyone? Okay. And before 1977. So you would have to be at least 1 year old when Star Wars came out, the original Star Wars, okay? You're also the MTV generation. So you remember what it was like when MTV came on for the first time and Video Killed the Radio Star was the first music video ever on MTV. Does anyone remember that video? Oh yeah. Okay, so millennials, the best generation, if I do say so myself. Kidding. Millennials, an identity given to a broadly and vaguely defined group of people. There are two wings of millennial that are often at odds with each other. They call them. This definition calls us Generation Y and Generation Z. I like to refer to it as Millennials and Xennials, which is kind of that in between the Millennial and the Gen X. So I'm what's known as a Xennial. I'm on the upper cusp of the Millennial generation, and my life was shaped by having an analog childhood and a digital adulthood. So I used a landline phone when I was growing up. We didn't have cell phones back then. And then moving into my teenage years, we got those giant bricks that were the first mobile phones. And I was also the generation where we got our first personal computers in the house when I was a teenager. So I've kind of gone through that transition of analog to digital as I was growing up. And so Generation Z, this is the generation born completely within the technological age, the war on terror and multiculturalism. This generation is the first true global culture as their characteristics and trend is more uniform across the globe as they become the most open-minded generation to date. Yay! You're giving us hope. Generation Z. So the earliest will vaguely remember the 20th century. Little affinity or no memory of September 11th, 2001, and the last golden years of TV animations in the Western world. Rise in standard of living, exposure to computer and internet, and a growth in the reduction of moral traditional values. Okay, because it's Friday morning, everybody got their caffeine? Now we're good. We're going to do a little generation trivia. And I think you'll find this fun, because I didn't even know the answers to some of these. So, we're going to try to guess what the things are in the next few pictures. And you can just go ahead and shout it out, because we love chaos around here, right? What ancient architectural relic is that? Who knows? Blockbuster. Yeah, Gen Z, do you know what a blockbuster is? It's from the ancient times, the prehistoric times when we would have to drive to a store to rent a movie. All right, my older generations, do you know what that is?
Vending machine.
Yeah, it's a vending machine. I had literally no idea what that was. I had to look it up. What would you store in that? Quarters. Back when we had to develop our photos at a photo shop. Yeah, but quarters, way better use for it. Anyone know what this is? Mm-mm. Caller ID. Caller ID. Yeah, it kind of looks like a medical device, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What did this dog want? Yo quiero Taco Bell. What is this game? Minesweeper. Yeah, everybody's getting the warm, fuzzy nostalgia feelings.
What is that from? Like what?
That's
I
like
don't
from the
recognize that.
first versions of Microsoft on PCs.
Okay.
Yep, it was this one, and what was the other one called? Like Ski Free, where the little monster would run out and eat your skier player. Yeah, it's good times. What's that?
It's a car door.
Yeah, car door opener. What did this subway used to be? A Pizza Hut. There's a whole, I don't know if any of you are on Reddit, but there's a whole subreddit dedicated to old Pizza Hut buildings that have turned into something new. It's hilarious. What is this a part of? You guys are good. Back before digital mouses, right? Okay, this is a bone I'm throwing to Gen Z. Do you know who this is?
Todrick.
Yeah, Todrick Hall. Well done. Every time I looked up, like, these are the things that only Gen Z will understand, it was always YouTube personalities. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. Which website could you find this? MySpace, yeah. Believe it or not, MySpace is still a thing. MySpace is what we did before Facebook became a thing. I think I was in college when Facebook started, and prior to that, everything was MySpace. What does this do?
Cigarettes.
Yeah. My partner's car still has one of those. He drives an old car. Okay, a little controversial time, but I want someone to raise their hand and volunteer what they think is going on in the picture, or what it means to them culturally. Who knows what that is?
Avocado Toast.
Okay, does anyone have something they'd like to share about what avocado toast means in the context of generations? Anyone?
Millennials breakfast.
Yeah?
Boomers yell at us for eating healthy food.
Yes. More specifically, I think there has been a lot of commentary that millennials complain about not having any money, but then they spend all their money on avocado toast. So, all right, guilty as charged. My daughter likes avocado toast too, so that's going to continue to be a trend throughout generations. What meme is this? I'll give you a hint. It's written at the top. Okay, boomer. All right, so I know we've been hearing a lot about this lately. Does anyone know the context of it? No? Okay. Okay, boomer is a thing that lots of Gen Zers are saying in response to boomers trying to tell them what to do. So there's a little bit, we're getting into a little bit of a turf war between the generations, and I've seen a lot of articles talking about how okay boomer is not an okay thing to say in the workplace. So, and I agree, if you don't want your boss to fire you, probably don't say okay boomer to them. This one, anyone know this one? Millennial Snowflake. What does that mean?
So something to do with being fragile and different and.
Fragile and unique.
Capable of showing emotion. I'm just kidding.
Spot the millennial. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of differences here between generations, right? We all come from very different cultural experiences. We all grew up during times that were challenging or opportunistic based on what was going on in world history. So when we talk about developing a marketing campaign for our businesses, we really need to think about specifically who are we marketing to and what experiences and culture are they coming from. So often generations is something that we don't really factor in outside of, we think gender, we think Age range, yes, but are we really digging into what makes these generations unique and what it is that they're looking for from their brands and their service providers? So here's a few things, and again, I apologize, Gen X and Gen Z. Most of the data out there is on millennials and boomers because the boomers are passing out of the workforce and the millennials, we're coming in as the new generation. So there's a lot of statistical data about how that is going to shape our economy. So there's a huge difference between the way that baby boomers and millennials communicate and how they feel and act. So, and these are all generalizations, okay? I'm not claiming that every boomer or millennial does these things, but in general, baby boomers like to use the phone, right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah? How many millennials like to use the phone? Like 0%.
Like talk on the phone. You're
Like
talking
talk
about,
on the
because
phone.
They all love
Yeah,
to
yeah,
use
yeah.
their phones.
Yeah, we all want to
Like
text
talk
and
on
all
the
that
phone.
stuff,
Yep.
but Domino's invented pizza delivery apps because we don't like talking on the phone to people. Baby boomers, do you like to meet people in person or would you prefer to communicate with them through email or something?
The person.
In person? Baby boomers tend to take action based on their feelings that it's the right thing to do. They're very loyal. Some of, I think my father had worked for the same company for 35 years. I mean, that's unheard of now, right? So there's a lot of loyalty there. There's a lot of feeling that staying with one job, one marriage, it's the loyal and right thing to do. Job security, that's a thing. The baby boomers came of age during the time of pensions. I had to have somebody explain to me what a pension was. It's basically like Social Security, but for your employer. So we don't have those things anymore, and so that's something that's helped add to financial security for baby boomers. So position and prestige is very important to the boomers. Oftentimes, climbing the workforce ladder meant achieving a high position within a company, receiving a title that went along with that, and having a social network around that title and that prestige. Also salary. So baby boomers, lucky you, you've kind of gotten to the top of your career during a time when there was a lot of economic growth. During the dot-com boom, we had a little bit of a hit there in 2008 with the market crash, but things are starting to shape up a little bit for you. And you tend to make long-term commitments. So when you make a decision, you want it to be for a long time, so you put a lot of thought and energy into making those decisions once. Millennials, we like to email, text, and use social media to communicate. I screen all of my phone calls, especially in the time of spam, because now everybody gets spam phone calls. And this is my public service announcement. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it until my face turns blue. Google will not call you. Google will not try to sell you services. If someone calls and you pick up the phone and they say, "Hi, we're your local Google specialist," hang up the phone. It's not Google. It's all these companies out in California, they're trying to hook you into this ridiculous $100 a month contract to try to create a website and get you found in search results. It's not Google. Google will never call you. In fact, if you try to contact Google's customer service, I think there's like one guy in Detroit. Okay? They will not call you. So please, don't sign up for any contracts that people are selling you that you think have to do with Google, because they're fraudulent. So, millennials have trust issues with spam. We enjoy meeting remotely. We like the flexibility of being able to take our laptop to a coffee shop and have a meeting with someone across the country. It's really fantastic. You save time and money. You You don't have to put on pants if you don't want to. Flexibility. These are things that are important to us. We tend to be value seeking. So when it comes to choosing a job as a millennial, oftentimes the values of the company we work for are more important to us than the salary or the prestige. So we're really interested in having experiences in our life that promote the greater good based on the issues that are important to us. We've never had job security. We've not seen annual salaries go up since probably the last 2 decades, while the cost of living has gone up. It's really difficult to make a living as a young person right now in this current economic climate. And so therefore, it's affecting the economy in lots of different ways. Every week or so, I see another article about how millennials are killing the real estate industry. Well, I don't know if any of you pay for daycare right now, but it's basically the same amount of money as someone having one income. In fact, my sister has a baby, and she realized that if she went to work and paid a daycare to take care of her child, she would be losing $1 every day. So a lot of millennials are choosing stay-at-home parenting, not because they particularly enjoy spending 8 hours a day with a screaming toddler, but because it makes more financial sense to them than going into the workforce and losing money just to have someone watch their child. Okay, so we make a lot of jokes about how millennials and Generation Z are these unique special snowflakes who have a lot of things to complain about, but I can tell you personally, the economic realities of the economy that we are coming into as adults are very, very challenging. And I promise you, we are not trying to destroy the real estate market. We are not trying to destroy doorbells. We have cell phones, and you use a text message when you come to someone's house. That's just how it works. And also, none of us buy napkins anymore. I'm sorry, you can use a paper towel. You only have to buy one thing at the grocery store, and it can serve as every paper product that you ever need. So for us, work-life balance is very important. Since we're not making any money, we don't want to be super stressed about everything else that's going on in our personal lives. So for instance, I enjoy being self-employed for a lot of reasons, but one of those is because I enjoy having the flexibility to go home and take care of my 5-year-old in unicorn pants who's having a sick day, or if I need a mental health day, I can take it. And I can take it without having that guilt that an employer might be judging me based on the things that I need to do for my personal well-being. This kind of ties in, but we really seek meaning and fulfillment. For us, for me, I don't expect to retire with a lot of money. Honestly, I don't really expect to retire. I think not only will things be challenging for me financially when I get to that age, but also I'll just be so bored that I'll never stop working. Why would I stop working when I can stand up here and tell terrible jokes to all of you and you laugh at 50% of them? Come on, I'm doing pretty good. And we prefer short-term commitments. We don't like the feeling of being locked into something, right? How many of you, if given the option to pay for an annual membership or subscription versus a monthly subscription, will pay for the monthly subscription? Yeah, I don't want to be locked into anything. Don't tell me what I have to do. I want to be able to change my mind.
You know what though? What about Prime? They're ready to sign up for Prime membership.
They do it monthly now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And going back to that values thing, I have issues. I used to have stock in Amazon. And once I saw how devastating the Amazon online shopping was becoming to the small business community, I stopped. I sold all my stock in it. And I used to be an avid Prime user because, let's be honest, I'm a single mom of a 5-year-old. I don't have time to go to the store and buy those paper towels. But I'm sure many of you are hearing about the working conditions at Amazon, the low pay, the lack of benefits. For me, I just choose not to use Amazon anymore because of that values thing, right? I mean, it's a lot easier for me in my life, but I'd rather spend more money and spend more time supporting the local small business community than supporting Jeff Bezos and his new rocket ship. So, generations and tech. This is data from the Pew Research Center up till 2018, so this is constantly changing. But you can see that this is the use of technology and social media. So ages 18 to 29, 88% of them globally are using some form of technology, social media. And from 30 to 49, it goes up to 78. 64% of 50 to 64-year-olds are using it, and 37% of 65 plus. Keep in mind that this was data as of January 2018, so that was 2 years ago. I'll bet you anything those numbers have all gone up, right? So 2 billion people use Facebook every month. 2 billion. To me, that means you should be on Facebook, right? Your business should be on Facebook. Locally here, Facebook is the #1 social media channel. Often with my clients, I don't even recommend that they put any effort into a Twitter account because that is our lowest used social media tool in South Central Minnesota. But you can see Facebook is one of the widest, most used social media tools. So we want to focus a lot of our marketing efforts on Facebook because it's used across generations. So we have the ability not only to reach a lot of people, but if you've ever used targeted advertising, you can actually specifically target those generations and those types of people that you want to reach.
Hannah, I have a question on,
Yeah.
on Twitter and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
For Facebook, do you feel that there's a lot of women on Facebook and they're interacting and they're liking posts? Guys don't really like posts that much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's kind of what I've noticed. But on the Twitter end, why aren't people using Twitter? And is that going to change because they're getting rid of political ads? That's kind of a benefit to being on Twitter, really. So
Yeah.
do you see that? Are more guys on Twitter?
No.
No, just
No.
no one is. I've kind of noticed that myself too. But why is that?
So for Twitter, I find that the usage of that tends to be for news, delivery of news, sports. There's a lot of sports tweeting going on. Socially, it's kind of used as a way to follow your favorite celebrity and have them reach out and connect to you. I think in terms of your comment about men not posting and liking, I'm wondering what age range your Facebook friends are. Because in my age range, in my social circle, there's a lot of men posting and tweeting and stuff like that. I do think that in general, when I do reviews of my targeted advertising on Facebook, often it's mostly women. There's a slight increase in women that engage in my ads. But, there's a healthy amount of men who are also, they may not be engaging post-wise, but they are observing and absorbing content. So that's an interesting question, though. I think I'm going to write a book on that. Do some more research there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've got just a slight side thing to that too. Nothing's real on Facebook. It shows you a world that it creates for you, even down to when it shows you their likes. So, it will show you, it will give you new likes not when you get them, but in a pattern that's specific to engaging you more in using Facebook. So, yeah, it's really weird what you're seeing, and I think that's one of the things unique to millennials too, is growing up half analog, half digital. At a certain point in my life, I realized nothing is real, and have a lot of cynicism around that, and don't necessarily believe. I always step back and question everything, like, why is this how it is? Is this my experience, or is this everyone's experience? This is kind of a unique perspective on different things.
That's a good point. I could spend days talking about Facebook and what the reality is and what they're using your data for. But what Kayla's referencing is something called a filter bubble. So Facebook they only make money. I remember when the Facebook IPO came out. Something like it was valued at $4 billion, I think, but they had no monetization. So they went public on the stock market, and they had no money coming in, but people valuated it as over $4 billion. And a lot of people were like, this is crazy. Why would you buy stock in something that isn't making any money? Well, what I always say is if the service is free, then you're the product. Welcome to Facebook. Okay? Facebook serves as a way to get all of your information and all of your data, your deepest, darkest secrets, your behavior. It measures and monitors everything that you do, and then it turns around and it sells your data to advertisers. And I'm one of those bad advertisers, because I can use Facebook's targeted ads to find exactly who I want to see those ads. I can go on Facebook, and if I want to target women who have small children, I can actually target women who are going to give birth in 6 months or less. How do they know that? Well, probably because we've been shopping at Target for baby things. That was actually a really scary situation that happened with Target. There was a teenage girl, young woman, whose father saw in the mail a bunch of Target coupons for baby formula and all kinds of fun baby-related things, like register with Target for your upcoming baby shower. And the father was absolutely livid, and he called up Target, and he's like, don't be advertising this stuff to my daughter. She's a teenager. Come to find out, the teenager was pregnant. And the only way that Target knew that was because of her online search history. So, Target knows things about you before your own family knows them about you. So this is, going back to your point, Kayla, trust is a thing that we don't really have anymore. The irony here is that I like to say that social media is a way that brands and businesses can establish authority and trust, because we communicate with you constantly, and we can develop that level of trust that we know what we're talking about and we're here to help solve your problems. But then on the other hand, Russia's interfering in our political elections, right? Mark Zuckerberg is selling all of your data to nefarious sources. So it's I have struggled ethically with the use of Facebook, because as a marketing tool, I need to use it. I need to use it to reach people. Do I particularly align with the morality and the ethics of selling people's data to advertisers? No. But do I want my business to succeed? Yeah. So, try getting to sleep tonight. How dare you?
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Because on the flip side of that, though, as a consumer, I don't mind, if Facebook knows that I'm looking up Minnesota Twins apparel and then they show me an ad, maybe I'm going to get a good deal. That's not always a bad thing either.
I totally agree.
So.
Yep. Yeah, and then there's the problem where you say, I'm not going to be shopping online anymore. New year, new me. I'm going to cut back on that online spending, and then the internet shows you that thing that you didn't know you needed, but you need it right now. It's a thing. There's anyone heard of geographic fencing as a marketing technique? Yeah, the idea of somebody walks past the coffee hag and has their cell phone with the location services turned on. Jen's competitor, maybe on the other side of town, their advertising will send a text message to that person's phone and say, hey, 25% off your next cup of coffee at Coffee Hag competitor. So now advertisers are using your physical location as a way to capture you and bring you in and make you a new customer. So yeah, it's and then I remember last year there was a 1 Million Cups presentation, and I know some of you were in here. Refresh my memory if you can remember that company's name, but they were up in the Twin Cities, and they were talking about the technology that they were bringing to retail stores, where these cameras would scan you as you were coming in, and then they understood all this information about your face, and then they could send a representative over to help you personally with the things that that camera and that software had identified that you might need. Right? We're in the Terminator age. It's Minority Report. It's happening. Yeah.
Isn't the same thing going on too with the microphone?
Yeah.
Because I remember my wife and I were looking for cars, and all of a sudden on Facebook, here's a bunch of cars for sale. So the same thing's going on there.
Personal experience that absolutely terrified me. So until recently, I worked over at the Symphony, and my colleague over there and I were both super nerds, and we both have 3 cats. And I know, try not to judge me. I went through a very lonely time for a while. And so anyway, I was looking at ugly Christmas sweaters on my phone, and I found this hilarious ugly Christmas sweater of cats with laser eyes attacking New York City. And I'm like, this is perfect. This says everything I want everyone to know about me in a sweater. So I just showed the screenshot to my coworker, and we were just talking about it. He didn't search for it. He just laughed at it. Yeah, that's totally you. You should buy it, blah, blah, blah. He texted me that night, because we don't talk on the phone. He texted me and said, oh my God, that exact sweater showed up on my Facebook page. Now, a cat sweater, a laser eye holiday cat sweater showed up on my coworker's Facebook page, and he had not searched for it. His phone had recorded it. Okay? This is, I used to think my dad was nutso for making me leave my iPhone in the mailbox before I came up to his house. The government is listening! Starting to think that maybe he was not wrong. I owe my boomer dad an apology for that one. So yeah, when this first became a topic of discussion about 2 years ago, there were instructions online for you to go and figure out how to turn off the listening mode that was automatically enabled on your Facebook app. I don't even know if that's possible anymore. You may want to look it up on the internet and see if you can turn off the listening mode. It feels like every 3 days these media companies are renewing and redefining their privacy standards. So how many of you are getting like 3 emails a day from a company that's like, hey, review our terms of agreement, blah, 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 we've blah, blah, blah. It's impossible to keep up, right? It's the wild, wild west out there. And everybody is looking for your personal information so that they can market to you. This presentation is going in a totally different direction. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Okay. Moving on. This is the hierarchy of the most used social media platforms. Up until this point, I didn't really consider YouTube a social media platform, but after thinking about it, I now do. 2 years ago, I could not hang a shelf to save my life. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference between a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver. Many, many, many YouTube videos later, I've renovated a duplex. All because there are YouTube videos out there, right? I follow content creators on YouTube and watch YouTube just as much as I watch Netflix. So YouTube definitely is becoming, or is, the top social media network. How many of you, when you need to find a recipe or learn how to do something, you just go to YouTube and type in how to, yeah.
Well, and even if you don't, even if you just are looking something up in your web browser, it brings up YouTube videos for you right away.
Right.
So,
Part of that's because YouTube is owned by Google.
Well, what generation is the, like the 16-year-olds or the 13-year-olds or whatever, or even the 10-year-olds for that matter?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my 16-year-old, if he's not in the shower for an hour, he's watching YouTube. Seriously.
hey, at least you're showering at 16.
No, he turns the shower on. I won't say he's in the shower, or he's laying in the bottom of the shower and the shower's running. He's watching YouTube.
Should I be concerned?
I mean, I am. I'm pounding on the door. What are you doing in there?
As long as his phone is waterproof, what's the problem?
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. No, it's, whatever. Okay,
Yeah. I mean, my 5-year-old, she could watch YouTube all day. And now his parents, actually, it's just Monday, I think, YouTube announced that they would no longer be allowing targeted advertising on content for children. On the one hand, I'm like, hell yeah, protect my baby girl. On the other hand, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad for all those children's content creators out there. Because in one fell swoop, YouTube just totally demonetized their channels. So, yeah. This is why I pray at the altar of the Google gods and hope they will be benevolent upon me and my marketing techniques. So, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram has become one of the places that millennials and Generation Z have jumped over to, mostly because boomers and traditional generations have jumped onto Facebook. Now even Instagram is becoming less and less of a preferred social media tool for Generation Z. So for those, okay, I love asking this because it changes every time I speak in public, but Generation Zers, what social media tools are you using? Facebook, okay?
Because everyone uses it.
Okay,
I use all of them.
all of them.
I would say Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, but Twitter's less personal. It's
Uh-huh.
just more for like content, funny stuff, keeping up with like The Bachelor and like that kind of stuff is on Twitter.
The Bachelor's
is.
still a thing, huh?
Oh yeah, it's a big thing. So see what's trending.
Okay.
But it's not like communicating with like your friends more.
So different tools for
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
types of communication. Yeah.
TikTok, huge one that's taking over our generation.
Right? I love watching when I'm late at night on my couch with my 3 cats. I like watching the top 20 TikTok videos of the day. They're just these short little videos, and they're hilarious. And they're I can't do it justice, but it's a really creative medium for creating videos. So if you're curious, jump on YouTube and check out some TikTok videos because they're pretty fun. Okay, anyone else in Gen Z want to share? You will have to stay after class and teach me how to use Snapchat because I've tried so many times.
I see the kids using Snapchat instead of texting.
Okay,
Because it goes away.
yeah, that's a big deal.
And parents can't check it.
Huh? That's
'Cause I
key.
used to check this text messaging.
It's probably why your son is in the shower for an hour.
Going back to TikTok real quick, I don't think that's growing right now. You'll see it die off a lot. It's going to be extremely regular coming months. There's a lot that's coming out about organization that as unhealthy as a lot of the Facebook practices that are going on. TikTok does the same things, but they're not an American entity. It's based out of China.
Ah.
So as much as that is growing, how much it really counts for business purposes, it's going to be extremely regular.
I did not know that it was a Chinese technology. That's really interesting.
All the military's been banned from using it.
Huh. I'll put that in my next slide presentation. Thanks, Nate. Okay, so, blah, social media. We use it. So one thing that I talk to my clients about a lot is even if you're averse to using social media, you need to think of it as a web browser. So if I learn about a company that I'm interested in following, let's say I meet someone in a coffee shop and they tell me, oh yeah, I started this business, it's this. And I want to find out more information about it. Yeah, I'm going to search Google, but I'm also going to use Facebook as a tool for following that business. And sometimes I'll just go into Facebook and search for information about a post or a page. So we're now at the stage where we're using Facebook and other social media tools like a search engine. Like if you want information on how to buy paper towels, go to YouTube and you can look that up and there's a video for it. So social media has become the new version of search engines if you're looking for information, and that's why having your business's info on these tools is so important.
What about the same information on cross medias? To me, that's redundant. Why would you do that?
It depends on who you're trying to reach and how. So you may have one generation that uses Facebook more, and also I like to change the actual text content that I post between, say, Facebook and Instagram. I may use more hashtags and more meme culture content on, say, Instagram than I would on Facebook. So when you're speaking to a different targeted demographic, you want to make sure you're speaking in their language. So moving from channel to channel, you know, there is that option of sharing Instagram photos automatically to Facebook. We're all busy, we're all trying to save time. But for me, there's more of an impact when you can use specific text content for Instagram, and then you can post the same photo on Facebook, but you need to use different language, different content, because you're speaking to a different audience. You're using a different communication tool. Does that make sense? Just creating more work for you. So going back to that trust thing and why no millennials have it. Both Gen X and Gen Y, we are the generations that really started to have parents split up. So Generation X was the first to really come into this situation where more and more homes became single-parent homes. Marriages, like 56 or 60% of marriages end in divorce now. So that's totally not an uncommon thing. And that shapes our experience. That shapes our trust. I remember Enron. Man, that feels like a long time ago. Who remembers what year Enron went down? Anyone? It's probably before all the Gen Zers were born, right? So Enron was this giant corporate bank, right? Am I right? You have to tell me, because this was back when I was a kid. Anyway, they were doing bad money things, and they went down, and it was a huge shock to the economy. So that's when we first started to feel like our banking system was failing us. And then 9/11 happened. I think for me, the most monumentous thing that shaped my adulthood was, I remember my first adult memory, so right after I had turned 17, I think, I was sitting on my dorm room bed freshman year of college, watching the Twin Towers fall on the TV. Okay, so that was my first adult memory. I don't know of an adulthood where I wasn't getting patted down at the airport. Our country has lived in constant fear of attack. We have been involved in wars for the last several decades. There is no trust. There is no feeling of security from younger generations. So that's why social media and marketing is really important. You want to make people feel like they can trust you and your brand. Younger generations, that goes into why we follow certain ideologies and why we prize values over money and prestige. We're also used to politicians lying to us, and we will go to your competitor if we don't feel like we can trust your brand. These are things that are really important to know. So, I've been given the TikTok. That was a bad joke. So who is your target audience? So when you're thinking about marketing to the people that you want to come in and bring into your store, connect with you on the internet, I'm just going to say this right now. Targeting everyone, I market to everyone, is not a thing. Okay? Companies that succeed have very specific target audiences. Companies that fail say, we're going to do everything for everyone. You can't. You cannot serve everyone. You have got to pick a lane and stay in it. And you might have 2 or 3 lanes, but the important thing is you have to identify who your target audience is. And that's why all of this information becomes so crucially important. I'll just say, running out of time. But I just want to tell you this really great story. QVC, the home shopping network on TV, they actually refer to their target customer as Our Lady. Our Lady is in the boomer to traditional generation. She's maybe retired and she stays at home. She has discretionary income and she values these things. And so when they're sitting around their marketing discussion table, they refer to their target customer as, how would Our Lady respond to Nicki Minaj selling fragrance on QVC? I don't know how I feel about that particular marketing strategy, but this is where you start to personify your target audience. Think of them as a real person, not as numbers and statistics. Put yourself in their shoes. Try to understand what generational experiences they're coming from, and you will be better able to understand how you can market to them. So I'm running out of time, but love my stock photo that I totally stole without licensing. Don't tell dreams time, whatever. So traditional generation, just running through this real quick. When I worked at the Symphony, our average age of patron was about 65, 70 years old. So our digital advertising worked in terms of connecting younger people to the Symphony, but it did not work in terms of getting them in the door. The traditional generation, which is the one above the boomers, they respond to print advertising. If you want to get this generation to come to your business, to become a client or a customer, you need to put your ads in the paper. You need to mail them postcards. You can also do the radio. Radio is something I don't have a lot of expertise in, but I can tell you for sure, print advertising is the way to go with traditional. Getty images. So boomers, how do you like to be marketed to? Email? Facebook? Radio? Anyone listen to radio? Meh?
Men,
Yeah?
farmers.
Farmers? Well, you have a very specific demographic. Yeah, probably a combination of all these things. Email marketing is, I could spend a whole day talking about that too, but that's for another time. Gen X, I love this because all the photos I find of Gen X are women laughing alone with salad. There's actually a whole Tumblr account just dedicated to women laughing alone with salad. I don't know which, it was definitely an old white dude who was like, what does a Generation X woman look like?
Yeah.
Well, she really loves her salad because it's really funny.
Because we don't have men bugging us.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing, but when I eat a salad, I'm generally not laughing. Okay, so Generation X, I'm running out of time, but you get the idea. Gen X loves salad. Millennials, again, we like to text. We don't want to talk on the phone. We're starting to become less trustworthy of email marketing, and we obviously have trust issues with everything. Gen Z, TikTok, Snapchat, also do not want to talk on the phone. They like to text. They're flexible. They're open-minded. They're the future. And the next generation, who knows? My daughter does not understand how to use a phone. up to her ear. This next generation is going to see everything. Everybody raise your hand. Right hand. I solemnly swear that I will not make jokes that involve OK Boomer or Millennial Snowflake. Okay, thank you. We are all going to work together, right? We want to work together. So, thank you so much. Huh?
I have my fingers.
Oh, well, we can talk about that after. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today about the things that I know and love. I will actually have some business cards up here. If you have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to email me. Don't call me on the phone. And if you're looking for free marketing consulting, no-cost consulting, we offer that through the Small Business Development Center. And I'd also like to just ask that you spend a moment thinking about how lucky we are and how fortunate we are in this community to have so many wonderful organizations supporting entrepreneurship and free information. So thank you all so much for being here, and have a great Friday.